Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I haven't really filmed much the last week or so, but I have been cracking on. It's all been stuff with the actual car itself, nothing really worth filming, so decided not to bother. So I've replaced the steering rack gaiters, both sides. They were basically disintegrated. So they're both replaced. That was a bit of a bigger job than, it should have been a 15-minute job, and it turned into sort of hour and 15 minutes because someone had super glued the steering rack gaiters to the steering rack itself, the actual housing. So that was a bit annoying, certainly as they'd done it at the top. And where it's close to the body and everything, couldn't get in there to scrape it all off. So I managed to get the worst of it off, and they're nice and sealed on there. So that's a big job done. Repaired the thread in the driver's side top ball joint as well. That's all done. Hopefully, I won't be able to tell until it's all back together, but I think I've straightened the steering up as well. Ever since I built it, I did all the tracking and stuff, but I couldn't get quite enough adjustment in the rack to get the steering wheel dead straight, so I've recentered all that, which is good. So hopefully that's a bit better now. I've had the fuel tank out yesterday, got that out and just gave everything a bit of a check behind it, gave the fuel tank itself a check, and resealed or put a new light to body seal on the rear lights, because when I built the car originally they weren't available from mini spares, they were out of stock. So in the last year I bought some but never got around to changing it because the lights are a pain in the arse to get off with the tank in place. So as I wanted to take the tank out anyway to rejig it to try and make the outer seal on the filler neck sit better, I decided to take it all out and do it then. Gave it a bit of a clean up as well. Really, I need new rear light clusters. Their housings are cracked and very weak, and the lenses themselves have definitely seen better days, but they'll be fine for now. I don't really want to go buying the aftermarket ones because they're going to be even worse quality. These are genuine ones, so at least they'll last for now anyway, until I can find a suitable upgrade. So that's done. Also think I managed to figure out what the knocking noise was at the back potentially. I've certainly had a look at the top mounts and everything. They all look fine, everything's tight, there's no issues there at all with regards to them working. No signs of any rubbing or knocking or anything like that. But what I did find is the bottom seam on the fuel tank looks like it's been rubbing / knocking on the boot floor. So luckily I had an old door seal. So what I did is I just chopped that to length and just ran that around the length of the seam on the fuel tank. So that now sits on the boot floor and on the back of the seat, but it's only rubber touching, so hopefully there should be no knocking. It's also helped move the tank up a little bit, which has then meant the filler neck is in a much better position, and means that the seal is much more centralised in the hole, which hopefully is going to make it seal a bit better. Fingers crossed. And I've also put the Aston style fuel cap on. That's not really an aesthetics thing. It looks fine, but I wasn't overly. I didn't particularly dislike the normal one, but unfortunately, despite being supposedly good quality normal fuel cap, it still unfortunately leaks out of the keyhole. So when you're going around corners and you've got a brimmed tank, it does leak outside, and as a result has gone all down the side of the car and slightly ruined the paint. Luckily, I don't really care about that. So I've put that filler neck on to try and sort of a vague attempt at trying to make it seal a bit better. I don't really think it will. I think it'll, but hopefully it might, even if it just means that the fuel doesn't run down the bodywork. And until I can again find a better quality fuel filler cap, then that will do. And I've also tried to use it to push the seal down a little bit more onto the body to try and seal it a little bit better, because that was one of the only places I have a leak on this, is if it rained really hard and it was sat in the drive, there would be a small puddle in the boot around the fuel tank. So not sure whether that was the rear light or whether it was the fuel filler neck, but they're hopefully both sorted now, so that's a result. What else? Done quite a lot of work on the 1275 head. I think I've decided that I'm going ahead with that. So I've done some calculations, and despite what I said earlier, I'm going to be a bit braver and go for 9:1 compression. Several reasons. From other people's experiences of other cars, not specifically Minis, they seem to be able to cope because it's only modest boost. There's quite a lot to be lost with the lower compression with regards to low end performance and stuff. So hopefully the 9:1 will knock that back up. And because I'm running the charge cooler, that will obviously help with knock and debt and everything. That will help keep that at bay, hopefully. So what I'll lose in protection from going up in compression, I'll hopefully gain back from the charge cooler. Fingers crossed anyway. And worst case, I've done my calculations, so worst case I can put a second head gasket in, which isn't ideal, but it's it works and has been proven to work in the past. So I can always do that if needs be to lower it down to about 8:1. So I've got to take about 3.5 cc out of the cylinder head, so that should be a really nice amount to deshroud all the valves. I've started lapping the valves in and everything, so that's good. The head needs a skim just to get a couple of little bits of damage out of the face, which is obviously going to counteract some of the work I do on the head, but I'm aiming for I think from memory it's about 26.5 cc in the head. Should give me about 9:1, so that's good. Done piston to valve and piston to valve to block checks. I think I did that on one of the other videos. It's all good and very close. So what I'm going to do is the valves and the head, exhaust valves, I'm going to take some material off the face of the valve. They're really thick, loads of meat on them to come off, so I've got no worries about that. That gets me loads more room. I think I would be okay with just head gasket clearance, but as belt and braces, it also gets me some of my capacity back for lowering the compression, so it all helps. And I've just got to recut the seats as well, the seats on the valves, because there's quite heavy pitting on them and stuff. But the head's all decoked and stripped, ready to sort of reassemble. I've got to decide what I'm going to do with springs and stuff, whether I stick with what came out of it or spend a bit of money on it and and upgrade it. So yeah, that's the head's progressing well. Hoping to do a bit more on that maybe tomorrow night. And yes, I've been looking a lot at the charge cooler setup, where I'm going to put things, what I'm going to use for things like pump, radiator and things like that. And what I've done is I've bought I haven't actually got it here, it's at work, but I've bought a VW, it's actually from a Mark V Golf, but it's a little electric water pump. It's the same pump that they use on all the TSIs and stuff, so it's you know, it's rated flow wise, it's rated you know, as I want it. It's got good outlets, in an outlet, very good size. It's a very small compact pump, it's only sort of that big. It comes with a rubber bracket already on it, so I'm not got worried too much about where I mount it with regards to vibration and stuff. And it's a really nice size. It's got a standard just 2-pin plug that you can buy from eBay for about £3, so I can make a really nice neat job of installing it. And it's genuine VW Audi, and they're cheaper than the Chinese 12-volt pumps online. So I think I paid about £25 for this pump second hand, just to sort of try it out, and I think it'll probably be fine. But if I need to replace it at any point, I know that I can get genuine OE ones for about £40. So you know, reliability wise, I think that's probably my best option, rather than going for a Chinese 12-volt water pump that you just don't know what the flow rate is and stuff. They claim whatever the flow rates are and stuff, but when talking a system like this, how much is too much or too little, you know? So I've decided to start off with that pump, and I'll just play around with it and see what happens. I've got to measure up and see what space I've got for a rad and where I'm going to put a rad. I'm going a PC cooling radiator, so it will have 120mm PC fans on it. I've got a choice of 1, 2 or 3 fans, depending on the size of the radiator, obviously. I think 1 fan would be too small, 2 I think would be okay, 3 would be really nice, but it's 360mm long, so it's going to be trying to find somewhere to fit that out the way, because what I've decided to do is I'm going to, unless space dictates it has to be, my plan is not to have the rad at the front of the car, which is slightly counterintuitive, but I'm going to have the way I'm going to control the temperature of the charge cooler, because I don't want to get too low, obviously, because it's a suck through charger system, it will condense all the fuel. I'm going to use the fans to control the temperature, to begin with. If I find that doesn't work and I have to start using the pump, kicking the pump in and out to control the temperature, which I might still be able to do using the system I'm using, then we'll just have to, you know, that side of it's going to have to develop when it's all going. So but I'm going to use 2 or 3 120mm fans, and I'm going to buy a 5.5-inch bay LCD screen with a fan controller, or LCD fan controller essentially. So it will control up to 6 fans. So it's got 6 outputs, it's got 6 different temperature sensors. So what I can do with that is, even if I don't have fans on all of the 6 settings, I can monitor 6 different parts of the engine, which I think is going to be really, really crucial with this, is trying to keep an eye on temperatures. So the main one that we'll have will be a temperature sensor in the radiator, the charge cooler radiator, that will control the fans on that radiator when they kick in and out, to try and keep that at a designated temperature, to try and, as I say, not get it too cool, but also make sure it doesn't get too hot. So that's going to be running that. So what I'm going to do is, obviously I want fresh air into the radiator, but what I don't want is necessarily, I don't want the speed of the car to dictate how cool it is. So the fact I'm using the fans to control it will mean that I can have the radiator elsewhere with good ducting. So I'm yet to figure out where to put it exactly. It might end up the only place I've got is at the front of the car, in which case, you know, it will be what it will be. But also trying to find waterproof 120mm PC fans is quite tricky and very expensive. So it would be nice to try and keep that system out of the rain, because you know, I want to be able to drive it in the rain. So yeah, trying to keep it away from that, trying to shield it all a little bit. And yeah, we'll just see how we go. I don't really want to get into putting it in the arches, just because it's going to get damaged from stones and stuff. So I'm going to reserve the arches for things like the charge coolant tank. I'm going to relocate the washer bottle as well, and might try and put a breather tank in somewhere as well, catch tank, if I've got enough space, but we'll see how that goes. But it's progressing. I've got far more of a plan in my head now. I know the bits I've got to get. I had to measure a couple of pipes and stuff to work out what size piping I need, what size fittings I need for the radiator and things like that. But I know what controller I'm getting. I know roughly what fans I'm getting. I know what radiator I'm getting. Yeah, I think it's progressing well. I've heard from Tom, who's building the Supercharged kit, and he thinks it's probably about a week and a half away from being finished. So then it will probably be another couple of weeks until it's here. So I'd like to think by the end of February I'll have it, and have it fairly well mocked up. I don't think it's going to be finished by then. I think probably realistically end of March is going to be when it's going to be finished, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. I've not got anything planned for it until sort of April time, so it'll be what it will be, so that's good. Yeah, I'm getting quite excited now. I've only got a couple more bits to do on the car itself to get it ready. I mean, it's ready now. If I stuck it back on the road now, it would be fine, but while it's in this state, there's a couple more bits I just want to sort out before it goes back on the road. So I'm going to get them done now, and then I can really crack on with the charger kit when it arrives, doing the various modifications to that, and yeah, try and get it running as soon as I can. So it's exciting. Today I'm going to be doing taking the rear drums off, cleaning them, deglazing the shoes and drums, and then just adjusting them. They're a little bit on the tight side now. They've all bedded in and everything, so just going to give them a bit of a look over, make sure everything's happy in there, and yeah, make sure I'm not sapping power by dragging the rear brakes. So I'll probably just time lapse that, because it's it's adjusting rear brakes. It's nothing that people haven't seen before. So if there's anything special I do in there, or maybe I think I might do differently to other people, then maybe I'll just do a bit of a talk through. But I think on the whole it's the same as everyone does for rear brakes. Yeah, I'm in two minds at the moment as to whether or not to replace the front pads as well when I do my mini spares order for the rest of the bits. They're very good Mintex pads, very happy with them overall, other than during last year I had a problem with the master cylinder, because this car is meant for a brake booster. So the pedal box is slightly different to one without, or that it's actually the pedal itself is slightly different to one without a booster. I sleeved it all down and everything to the right size. All that side of it works fine, but the something to do with the position of the bulkhead or the plate on top, whatever, means that over time, as brakes wear, the piston doesn't expose the hole for the reservoir, so you end up with brakes that essentially pump up and then stay on. So I had a lot of problems with the front brakes binding on certainly when they're getting hot. So I ended up fitting a spacer to it, which cured the problem, but as a result it glazed over the front pads. I've had them off once already and deglazed them, or tried deglazing them, but I think really they've got too hot and they've just hardened, so they squeal, which is just annoying really. So they're not expensive. I think probably for the cost of a set of new front pads, I think I'll probably throw a set of new front pads in it. Don't know what to go yet. I'm not a fan at all of EBC stuff. I've been very loyal and very happy with Mintex, so I might just replace them with another set of Mintex pads, but we'll see what's available, and yeah, go from there really. So yeah, let's crack on with the rear brakes. Right, so they're all done. Well, this side's all done. I'm going to do the other side. They're probably a bit freer than a lot of people I think would have, but what I tend to do is go up until they're tight, sort of, because of the nature of these drums and stuff, they're not machined that well, so it's tight sort of half of the turn, and then back off half a turn, so 2 quarter turns. And then that's a nice free amount for freewheeling, but shouldn't mean the brake pedal's too long. I mean, to be honest, the back brakes don't really do a great deal on these anyway. So yeah, I mean, looking inside there, hardly worn at all, and I've done sort of 12,000 miles in this now, so yeah, that's how I do it. It's probably not how everyone does it, but that's how I like them. I'd rather them slightly too loose than too tight on the rear. I've had them overheat before, not on this one, but on my other Mini. I had one overheat, and it just kills the bearings. It is just horrible for it. So there's no need for that, and they can be nice and free. I'll make sure the handbrake is still adjusted up, which it was for its MOT a couple of months ago, so it should be fine. And I'm going to go and do the other side. No point filming that, and it's a bit tight on space and a bit dark, so once I've done that, I'm just going to go around and grease all the various suspension joints just while I'm here. But that's going to be it for today's episode. Hopefully next episode will be a bit more of probably more of some of the engine stuff, so yeah, we'll get back to a bit more of that. The rest of the car stuff will be done and out of the way, so get cracking on with the engine and start getting the cylinder head back on, or the new cylinder head on, and yeah, get ready for the charge cooler, the supercharger. Exciting. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the videos. Apparently that's good. That shows other people, suggests it for other people that they're going to like. And comment if you've got anything you want to say, any suggestions, anything you liked, anything you didn't like. Yeah, just drop us a comment. Always nice to hear from people. And we shall see you on the next video. Thank you very much.